Alisha, and today we are doing a keepsake craft with the Waco-McLennan County Library's Genealogy Department. Today we are doing a census record mug. It's going to be a little bit similar to the photo tile coaster. If you've watched that video, if you've seen that one, if you did that one. Good news is they make a great pair if you decide to do this craft. We are going to be using some different materials, which is fun. It's a great way to try something new, but also we wanted you to see that there are ways to use materials or records from your research that people don't typically think of as being decorative, and you can still find a really fun way to craft with them and have a way to show them off. So at first, we're using census record. You can use any record, anything that tickles your fancy. I've got like a registration card here printed. I have an old marriage record printed. Any of these would be great. We just happened to choose a census record. You're going to want your record of choice. It needs to be printed from a laser jet or dry ink printer. Otherwise, when you put the medium on the paper, the ink will smear. And that's not what you want to end up with in your finished product. So laser jet or a dry ink printer. We're using Mod Podge again today. It's just so easily accessible. You can find it pretty much anywhere that sells craft supplies. And if you go on their website, they have some very specific directions and tips to use for this particular medium today. So just to let you know, you can check on their website. We're using a ceramic mug. I chose this one because it's just a straight cylinder all the way down. I didn't want to mess with anything that tapered at the bottom because I didn't want to have to fit it across something that was curved. Flat thing against curved surface seemed difficult. So nice straight sides all the way down. We're using Mod Podge image transfer medium. To seal it, we're going to use this Dishwasher safe Mod Podge, which we did use with the photo tile coaster. So if you have that left over, great time to use some more of it. And then also we've got just some sponge brushes. I've got a little dish of water here. That'll come in handy later. And just some tape. I have washed this mug already with warm soapy water, but just to get any residue, soap residue, or fingerprints from my hands, I'm going to wipe it down with an alcohol wipe just to get it really nice and clean. If the image you're using has text, handwriting, if it's in some way directional, you want to make sure that you print it in a mirror image, flip it, because you're going to place this with the printed side against your mug. I'm just going to put some of this straight on here and spread it out. Let's use this to keep things a little neater. All the way to the edges. And then fairly quickly, because you can see that this is already starting to warp. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to place this in a way that it's on the front of the mug if I were drinking from it. Pick it up, flip it face down onto your mug. It starts to adhere pretty quickly, so try to place it in the right spot as quick as you can, because it's going to stick and then you won't be able to shift it around. And then just carefully wipe over it and make sure there's not any air pockets underneath your paper. All the way to the edge. Make sure the edges are laid down flat. No wrinkles if you can help it. Either place it in a way that this has been left blank so you can drink from it, or just leave plenty of space. between your image and the lip of your mug, because you don't want any of that medium where you're going to be putting your mouth or your beverage, because it's not a food safe product. Once this is done, and I really think this is the hardest part, it needs 24 hours to dry. You've got to set it aside. You've got to wait 24 hours. It does not work well otherwise. So if this is something where you plan on maybe gifting it, give yourself plenty of time and just set it aside and let it dry. I'm going to show you how to get the paper off. Here's our water and our sponge. You're going to just wet this. I don't think the water needs to particularly be like warm or cold or anything. Just tap water is fine. And just lightly wet that paper. And just start wiping that paper away. And it's leaving behind that toner, almost like a decal. Do this very gently and then let it dry. And then you can see where cloudy spots are and you can see where there's still paper stuck. And then you can go back and wet it gently and do it. So you can do this in layers. You can wipe it off, let it dry, and then come back and try again. But you can see here how that paper is just peeling away. I'm going to move on to the next step. I'm not going to rub the whole thing off. I think you kind of get the idea. I have spots on my finished product. I will show you when we get there, where I suspect I either wet the paper too much or rubbed the paper off a little too briskly, and there were little spots that chipped away. I'll show that to you in a moment. This is my next example. This is back to the census record that we're using. All the paper's been rubbed away. It needs to be sealed. So I've already started taping it off, but let me go ahead and tape off this last side. I'm just using painter's tape, masking tape will work, whatever you've got. And what this does is protect the rest of your mug. This dishwasher safe Mod Podge is also, I believe, not food safe. So again, you don't want to spread it all over your mug. You just need to use it on the parts that you need to seal the image. This is exactly the same way we used it in the photo tile video. Just a thin, even coat. I'm going to start brushing it up and down first, then let it dry, and then do a second coat side to side. This is our finished mug. I haven't sprayed this with anything, but you can see there is kind of a sheen to it and a texture from where I put layers of the dishwasher safe Mod Podge, which is fine. It looks nice. There are spots that you can see where the census record, the toner kind of rubbed away. I think in this case, it kind of works. It's a vintage document. So I think with the little specks missing, it just kind of like lends to that vintage charm. I think it worked really well.